Hi guys, the podcast you're about to see is a recent interview with me on the HopeAholics Podcast channel. I'm so thankful that they shared the podcast with us so we can upload it on the Coops Advice channel and share it with you. There's a special section of it towards the end where the HopeAholics have provided this incredible gift in the name of Coop. So please watch it, and I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you. I never thought I would be doing anything like this. It wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
No.
And all of a sudden, in 2022, life took a change and things have just been evolving. And doing podcasts, sponsoring other things of that sort, short film. It's crazy, you know, but there's a whole story behind all that stuff. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
It's amazing why I'm sitting here today. So
It's important.
yeah.
What you're doing is important.
Well, I want to clarify this. What our son is doing is important.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything, and we didn't create anything. He passed. His friends were at our house the following week to get together and just discuss how we're going to do a service and all this stuff. And his manager said, we need to create a foundation. We need to prevent other kids from doing this. And so that was on a Thursday. On Tuesday, foundation was up and running.
Oh.
And collectively, they came up with a decision to, what if we do a merch sale? And so we'll sell merchandise and kids will buy it and it'll fund the foundation. And the two things that Cooper created prior to his passing, and this is why I think it's important to know and know that it's not us. He reached out to on Discord and created a platform called Coops Advice. And he wanted to be able to have a safe place for other kids like him to open up about their issues with mental health and addiction. And when you go on Discord, and I encourage you to go look on it.
Yeah.
It's like a chat forum whereby you have a screen name, or you can put your own name on it. I'm known now out everywhere in the world as Coop's dad.
Yeah.
And so, but you can be, XYZ123.
Sure.
And so there's a degree of anonymity of you being able to talk about, like today, typical post would be, today really sucks. I feel like using again. Or I think I'm going to kill myself. Or my parents are fucking horrible and they treat me like this. And my dad's abusive and blah, 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 blah. But then there's other kids jumping on and offering messages of love, hope, and support because it's their peers. And they feel it and they go through it. And what it taught us was that this is everywhere with everyone. So that platform, when Cooper started it, was about 30, 40 people. And he posted an Instagram right before, like an Instagram live right before he passed away, announcing it, inviting kids to join it. Today, it's about 215,000
Wow.
consistently on that platform 24/7 from all around the world.
Yeah.
So we get messages from, the places we don't get messages are deep in the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, for a few obvious reasons.
Right.
But there's times when we're on this, or when I'll do an Instagram live or some other platform, and I'll say, okay, so where's everybody from? Let me know where you're from. And the messages and the things that come
That's
through.
amazing.
It's incredible. And especially that it's still that many kids talking about their stuff. So that was the first thing. The second thing he did was he reached out to a nonprofit platform in LA called endoverdose.net. And those guys were doing online free certification and training for Narcan. And then you complete the course and you can get it for free. You get it in the mail. And
Wow.
so so we said, look, we're going to continue to support that, and we're going to continue to support the server on Discord. And so my wife and I, a few weeks after that, went to go meet the founder of End Overdose, and he's a bigger guy than you. So I walk in, and there's this big dude, right?
Yeah.
Got the tight shirt, and I mean, he's ripped, and he's got all the tats coming down.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing here? We're like in the fucking ghetto. It's like, we're gonna die. So walk in, and this guy, Theo, is the nicest, sweetest, most gentle guy. We hear a story, tells us about how Coop reached out to him out of nowhere, and they chatted on DMs, and Coop said he wanted to create some apparel and sell it and give him the proceeds for this, because this is helpful.
Wow.
And Theo is a LA City firefighter and paramedic. His district, his area is like, I think it's MacArthur Park in
Hardest
downtown
hit.
LA.
Okay.
Yeah. So he says, when you talk with him, when he's working, he'll do 15 runs a night,
Wow.
and maybe all but 1 or 2. Everything's fentanyl overdose
Wow.
and death, from
Oh,
8, 9-year-old
chills.
kids to grandparents. So that's what he was, a recovering addict, and his girlfriend didn't make it. She passed away from her addiction. He changed his life, became a firefighter, became a paramedic, and decided to run this foundation. And they're setting up training and what do they call it? Chapters on most of the colleges throughout the United States.
Wow.
UCLA, UCI, back east, everywhere, training kids, starting a chapter so they can train other kids.
Wow.
So those are the 2 things that Coop started, and we wanted to continue. And since then, it has evolved to so many different things. I truly know, I feel and I know I'm being led by him. And the delay in coming here, at the time, it didn't resonate. I'm not saying there's anything negative, just didn't resonate. There were other things I needed to do. But when I got that text recently, it just hit like, okay, now it's the time to go do this podcast. And it's just bizarre how we feel led by him today. And there's been a bunch of really, inexplainable experiences that we've had with him, but doors open up
Yeah.
and good things happen as a result of that. Kids are being saved.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm just thankful to God I'm here, and I'm open to what Coop and God want me to do and how they want to use me.
Yeah. Well, this website, I was about to say, the podcast was started. Chad, do you want to let them know how the podcast started? I mean, it's
Yeah, sure. So our podcast was birthed from a year ago, 9/11/22. My 21-year-old daughter found her fiance dead from fentanyl. And it was a life-changing experience for us. And God had put it on my heart to start a podcast so I could be a voice for the people who have lost their voice, and to force change. I just can't sit around. I've worked in drug and alcohol treatment for 22 years. That's all I've ever done. I've owned facilities for 20 years. And
Have you been an addict yourself?
I'm in recovery myself. I have never seen so much death in the last 4 years. It like 100-fold to the first 18 years that I worked in this industry. We always used to think heroin was bad, right? And like Narcotics Anonymous and different 12-step meetings, they talk about, if you make it back. But now it's like not even a joke. Like, it's not funny. 300 people plus. I'm just going by old CDC numbers, which I don't think are even close to accurate.
I don't think so either.
But I say it anyways. 300 people are dying every single day.
Every 11 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's shorter than that.
So do I.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that.
5 minutes.
crazy.
This is, you're talking about COVID
Yeah.
and a COVID response.
Right.
this is far more insane than COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no response. There's zero response. I don't see any response.
There's some, but it
Not
doesn't.
by the government.
It doesn't go. It doesn't get noticed. I'll say this: my experience with the DEA, I think they're doing a very good job with what they're allowed to do, but they're hamstrung tremendously by politics,
Right.
and they won't speak about that on camera or officially, but their administrator, which is their director, she's got her heart in the right place. It's a tough battle, and they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's not just fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean, there's human trafficking. There's terrorism. There's a lot of things that are pouring through that border that just do not need to be coming through.
Yeah.
And it's in that these other things are a matter of when.
Yeah. I think also the big thing is that people kind of disregard, because immediately it's kind of put out there like, oh, they overdosed, or it's like the addict or the alcoholic or whatnot. But it's like, no, it's actually a lot of kids are dying because it's poisoning.
It is poisoning.
They're getting poisoned because they think possibly they're taking, who knows, maybe they want to have recreation and go have like a party and dabble in, say,
some X or some Molly, whatever.
100%.
Can't even do that anymore.
No. And then they take something thinking that it's just, a feel-good drug like ecstasy. And then all of a sudden it is laced with fentanyl. And I think people have this,
Delusion.
where fentanyl is no joke. All you need is like a minuscule amount and it will kill you.
I mean, did you see how people reacted during COVID? And I'm not passing judgment on how individuals interpreted COVID and how because someone could have a compromising immune system.
course.
Okay, so I'm not going to go there with that. But people freaked out about being next to somebody, shaking hands.
Or no mask. Put your mask on, you fucking, what are you doing, man? You're killing me. Put your mask on.
Not having a mask on outside.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but this is worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
It is worse. It's an airplane going down every single day.
Yeah.
And if an airplane went down every single day, we would ground all flights immediately until we figured it out. There's many solutions to the problem.
Yeah, there are.
It's pretty pathetic when I read online that that one of the cartels has banned the sales of fentanyl, and our government hasn't done anything.
I think it's bullshit. Personally, I think it's bullshit. I don't think the cartels banned anything.
It was a specific cartel.
Yeah, I think in all these lanes of different issues we have, I've just learned in my life, just follow the money. And it's all about profit on every level. And, are we always going to have a drug problem? Yes. My message to kids is, I'm not going to tell you, don't do drugs. I'm not going to say that, just say no. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It's always going to be there for one reason. And look, we can unpack this really down one more level that I'm sure you're very aware of, and that is it's all about mental health. It's the
Yes.
reason why you're
100%.
doing something.
Yes.
1,000%.
Why you're self-medicating, why you don't feel well.
Yes.
I mean, you go on Coops Advice Discord and you'll see all these young kids and the various different reasons why they're struggling. So, but and that's a whole other world. I think it's going to be another generation before we can change how we're viewing mental health and the stigma and like what's wrong with you and it's negative and I can't talk about it and all that stuff. But the issue with fentanyl has changed everything. And when this happened to us, I mean, we really didn't know anything about this. And I thought we were pretty kind of, hip and in the know parents. I've always been very close to our kids or friends. We don't party with our kids, but our kids thought we were cool. They're friends. They would hang out at our house. We treated them with respect and we treated them like adults. But I've learned that no matter what the relationship is that you have, how good, I know you've got kids, things of that sort, they're going to tell you at the best, maybe 99%, And they're not going to tell you that 1% of something that they feel that they might disappoint you
Right.
or they'll be
Right.
shameful, but they'll tell somebody else.
Yeah.
That's where the Discord has been very helpful because they open up there and other kids have opened up to us. And we've been able to talk to some other parents about like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. But they don't know, most of these kids, and adults, let's just call it, most of the people in our country don't understand really what is going on with this illicit fentanyl, where it is, how pervasive it is, how deadly it is. And, you know, and it's really, you're just going to die.
Yeah. And I wanna
You're
go
not going to
back-
overdose and
No, you're going to die.
You're just gonna
I'd
die.
say I feel like we're at a point where you have to be living under a rock if you don't know how bad illicit fentanyl is. It's all over the news. It's all over everywhere. You know.
It is, but I'm telling you, man, I'm with parents all the time, and they're just they're shocked because there's a lot of denial.
Well,
Not my kid.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know.
It's more of a denial thing for them. They've heard about it. They've heard about fentanyl. Oh, my kids would never do that though. It doesn't matter how good of a parent you are or how bad of a parent you are. Man, I've seen kids with horrible parents do amazing in life, and then the helicopter parents' kids unfortunately have died from fentanyl, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, vice versa.
It's all walks. It's completely. There's no discrimination.
None.
Against it.
Zero.
Man, it was shocking to us to go through this event, and I'm thankful from the standpoint of most people that lose a loved one, you know, lay them to rest, and then they just have to move forward with their life. I'm thankful that Cooper left us with things to do, and continues to have things for us to do, and does it take away the horrible pain? No, but it does help make some days better than others.
Yeah.
It's a process. I think that if I didn't have things to do, I actually don't know where I would be today. I can just tell you, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
I went through that. I wouldn't be here. So we looked at what we were doing from day one. I've always tried to be very detailed and very simplified so that we all know what we're doing, like in business and communicating. And when I sat down with Coop's friends and, you know, our family, I said, let's just make this goal very simple. If we can affect change with one life, it's a success. God willing that we might be able to affect 2 lives. So let's just look at it one person at a time. And, you know, we've succeeded that, but there's a lot of work to do.
The ripple effect of the one person that you help change their life is huge. Like that's the part that a lot of times we forget to look at, and I've looked at that deeply in the field that I'm in, because if I help to change one person's life, every single person that they come in contact with for the rest of their lives, you've made a change.
Yeah.
And that becomes so big. So when you put 2 together, and then God willing 3, and probably hundreds and thousands at the level you're at, it becomes millions.
You know, I'm thankful for this. I am not aware to this moment that we've lost anybody that we've been involved with. Statistics say it probably should happen, but for those that have reached out, as far as I know, they're still around. And so my wife and I, we stay open to communicating with these kids and people that reach out to us. I mean, it's overwhelming. There's a lot. You can't get to everyone, but you do what you can. And we do a lot of little things to know that they're seen.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wake up in the morning or through the day. I'll look through my Instagram or my TikTok, and I've got tributes that have been posted to our son, and we get tagged, or they send us a DM saying, hey, look, here's a tribute. Like, you can add to your story.
Yeah.
So we repost them. You know, just repost them to show that we've seen it, and Coop's dad has reposted it, or, you know,
Cool.
Coop's mom has done that. And I think for the fact that they are seen and heard,
Yeah,
gives them some hope.
it does.
And then we try to communicate back as much as we can. We get some really tough messages from kids. And there's also, kids that want to kind of like hang on, which
Sure.
is like, you got to have to massage the fan thing versus
Sure.
the real need thing. But it all feels right. And again, when this happened, I look back, and I was kind of just made to look back recently. I had no clue what was going on in the world about to the degree of fentanyl. I didn't know about, opioids. I didn't know about antidepressants. I didn't know about alcohol, meaning like I became a student of like how bad all this shit is, and really like what's really bad, like antidepressants, the benzos and alcohol, like trying to get
Horrible.
off that.
Yeah,
You can die.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yes, you can
Have to-
physically
yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Have to have a medical detox.
Yes,
That's what-
and my world of parents, they don't understand that.
yeah.
They think like the benzos, like we did, were the anxiety drugs. If you struggle flying, take a Xanax.
Right.
You get anxiety for whatever,
Yeah.
take a Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a Valium.
It's kind of it's kind of like a
No,
it's
I
kind
know.
of like a
I know.
ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You take an Advil versus maybe you want a Tylenol instead.
Right?
Which is like today, I would never
Never.
have anybody take
No.
just even do whatever you can to not do this stuff. I saw a good friend of mine, and this was about 2 years before, had to get a disc fuse in his neck. And this is a guy who's like very successful in business, very straight, a little younger than me, but pretty straight-laced guy, got his life in control. And,
Jesus.
his vices, like he might have an extra vodka on the weekend, but never out of control. So they go in through your neck
Yeah.
here to fuse in the back. And then they gave him, like 50, 60, I don't know if they were perks or whatever.
After
Probably
7
perks.
days, your body is chemically addicted to that stuff. 7 days, chemically addicted. No matter what, you need a medical detox. Forget the physical or mental stuff.
So he calls me and another neighbor, a buddy of mine, over, and he goes, "Hey man," I go, "Dude, you don't look good." He's like kind of chalky and he's
Yeah.
sweating. And he goes, "I think I'm getting addicted to this stuff. The pain's unbelievable, but I'm feeling," and I go, "Oh my God, he's getting fucking addicted."
Yeah.
So he got to give me the stuff. We call his doctor. It's like, why are you prescribing like 30? Why aren't you giving him like 3 or 5 and checking in on him like every day? And so he avoided this, but it scared the crap out of him. I saw him physically and couldn't believe what this person was going through. I had the ultimate respect, for, and to see like this guy has got his act together and control, and he was like,
Same thing happened to my brother.
Struggling.
His wife had to throw the stuff away. He got a little injury, was on some heavy meds, and his wife had to throw the stuff away.
Yeah, opioids are actually, and I'm going to quote Dr. I forget his name over. He used to run the detox, and he had a really good pain management program because, like, people get prescribed opioids for pain management,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
What's the worst drug you can give somebody for pain management? Because opioids are actually meant for acute pain,
yeah,
not chronic pain.
no, you can get something that's like the equivalent
For
of like
sure.
8 Advil,
Yeah.
something of that sort.
Yeah. And that will be much better because what ends up happening, and same thing with the benzos, you were talking about the benzos, but I'll finish with the opiates, is your brain causes, so let's just say he had the surgery. My wife had the same, she had actually disc replacement surgery. They went in through her neck, 3 days of opiates, and then that was it. Then we're on to some, we're on to, ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But the point is that the opiates eventually, over long term, they cause what's called brain pain, and it's real pain, but it starts here. So the pain's not really here. You feel it here, but it starts here. So the pain's not really there, and we get that all the time with
That's your
people like
brain wanting the
yeah,
drug.
with pain management
Wow. Yeah.
clients that
That's
come
crazy,
in
man.
and they need to detox their opioids. After about 2 weeks off their opioids, they're like, "Oh my God, I don't
So-
have back pain anymore." I don't have back pain anymore.
Yeah, that's evil, isn't it?
Yeah, it's evil. And then the same thing with the benzodiazepines. They prescribe them for anxiety. But when you start taking benzodiazepines, the biggest side effect of benzodiazepines is anxiety. So you need another pill because you're getting more. Your anxiety is worse than it was before you ever started taking the benzos in between doses.
Or they got to give you meds to go to the bathroom.
Go to
You're
sleep.
constipated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's never ending.
It's
It is.
not.
It's never bloody ending. It's
But
just
that's-
one
Way to
thing
go.
after another.
But that's the issue too, is that it starts with medical. So you have a bunch of doctors just handing these out like candy, which I think is completely wrong.
Yeah.
I remember when I lived back here and I was going to my AA meetings in Newport Beach. A lot of like older women that, you know, had their life together. From the outside, you would think like they have it all, like going on in the sense of married, kids, house, life. And all of a sudden, you know, same kind of situation. They would either have to go in for a surgery or they just weren't feeling that great. So then all of a sudden, you know, they end up getting prescribed these medications. And then all of a sudden, you know, now they're addicted and now they're in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. It's like wild.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what you're saying is like all of a sudden now your pain is you take it for a little whatever 5-7 days and then now your one pill is not enough, and so then you start taking more pills to try to decrease whatever pain you're going through, and then all of a sudden you're taking an excessive amount and then you become addicted, and then to get off of it is nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't fulfill your prescriptions.
Yeah.
Right.
So then what do you do?
You go to the streets.
You go to
and
the
then
street.
and then you get fentanyl.
Yeah,
and then
because you can't have
and
three
then-
doctors anymore. Those days are over.
Oh yeah.
They've stopped that.
They did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get flagged at the pharmacies
It's
because
crazy.
they have a universal pharmacy.
Yeah.
You have a database.
Yeah, database.
Yeah. But it does boil down to the mental health. You're right. And you know what? We're sponsored by the Infinity Group, and they run and operate two mental health places.
Two mental health.
Two
primary
mental health,
places.
primary mental health, which is the very few and far between. So drug addiction is not a requirement.
No, I wouldn't think it would be. I
Yeah.
think mental health is still
Yes.
a layer below.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's
Well-
the core layer.
Yeah,
do
well,
too.
if you,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody, even if you come to one of our substance use disorder programs, we get you detoxed, and then we start working on the issues that cause your need
the
to
why.
substance.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's I mean, I'm an addict myself. It started with the addiction or the pills or the alcohol was just it was actually a solution, temporary solution,
Yeah.
until it became an addiction.
Yeah, it's you're
Right.
self-medicating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, and again, I have a very rudimentary layman's understanding of all this, because it's a matter of we got thrown into the water, and we had to survive through this.
Yeah.
I've learned that kids do one of two things. They self-medicate because they don't want to feel the way they're
Right.
feeling. So
Yep.
I'm going to take this because I'm going to feel different. They get an experience of feeling different. Either they like it or don't like it, but they find something that they like.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, I don't have to feel this way.
Yeah.
But if they're really struggling and they don't want to feel it at all, then that's suicide.
Yeah.
So it's either self-medication to suicide. And it's pretty black and white. And when I've talked to parents to help them understand that, hey, look, your kids are all going through this.
Yeah.
We all go through this.
Yeah.
We don't go through life completely physically healthy from birth to death.
Right.
We're going to have something,
Of course.
an illness, or we're going to get hurt. We're going to have an injury. Mentally, we're the same way.
Yeah.
But for some reason in this country,
We don't talk about it.
and it's a stigma, like you're weak,
Yeah.
or you're, like you're a pussy,
Yeah,
or you're not a
totally.
man, or you're weak, or what's wrong with you?
Totally.
Like that's mostly what I've heard from kids. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's what I hear from people.
I mean, that was my biggest thing, is like why I never wanted to say that I was in recovery or had addiction or alcoholism, because I'm Mexican Italian, so it's like very much raised, and my parents are very, very old school, and I love them to death. They're my heroes. But I had this like false narrative in my head in the sense of like, I'm strong, I'm not weak. I saw it as a sign of weakness instead of, you know, being okay with me seeking what I needed to seek and get help for my problem. And then finally, you know, I was able to push that out, and now joining these guys as one of the hosts and being able to use my platform and to break that stigma, because people are dying every single day.
But look, there's a disconnect. If you had broken your arm in 3 places,
Of course,
you'd go see a doctor,
definitely.
and then you'd probably go see a specialist. And would anybody complain or criticize or ridicule you?
No, it's because
No.
you can't see it. That's the problem.
But if it's mental or emotional, you're putting this other like horrible basket of like what's wrong with you, and it shouldn't be that way. This is what I think kids learn. Like our son went through this at a young age. That I mean, everybody goes through something.
Awkward.
course.
Yeah, everyone's awkward, bro.
Yeah.
They gotta have
Everybody.
something.
You get your heart broken. You get
At
in a
any age.
relationship.
At any age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's life is hard.
Yes.
So it's like you're going through the trials and tribulations of life, where it's like I mentioned this yesterday. We have this false like, and I don't know if it's because TVs or movies are thinking that like we're gonna be happy and sunshine
this.
and rainbows.
It's this. It's the
That for sure. Comparison.
social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 2 second attention.
Yeah, it's
span.
like this. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
I want to be just like her.
Well, and you're looking at everyone's highlight
I
reel.
know, but the people don't even look like that.
No.
That's
I
true.
know.
I
We're thinking about the same person. That's not saying anything, but we're thinking about the.
I was thinking about my date that I had like 8 years
really?
ago. Yeah,
Okay,
I was
all right.
telling Emily and
Shoot.
Natalie about it.
Yeah.
I went out on a date and the girl looked really.
I mean, like on her profile pic.
Yeah.
And then when she walks in, you're going, what?
Well, no, I walked in and she was already there, and I actually went to turn around to leave,
Oh,
and she
God.
saw me,
Jesus.
and I didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
Oh, my
Yeah.
Lord, have mercy.
How about that? for a
Lord
date?
have mercy.
My
That is-
wife's got one of her best friends was on like Hinge or one of those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting there one day at the dinner table looking at it, and she's going, "Don't swipe like whatever left her." One of them,
Oh yeah.
like one of them means you accept that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
She goes, "You can swipe
right.
the other
Swipe
side."
right.
So
Swipe
I'm
right.
swiping. I'm going, "Look at these guys!" Like, first of all, there's a guy that's like the first picture. It's like he's in his business suit, looks good.
Next picture.
Next picture, he's got like the tank top with like
The next
like
picture's in his
like with
underwear.
the tooth missing. Going, what is this?
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Is that how it is, Emily?
That's good stuff. That is
Oh,
funny.
man.
That is funny.
Yeah, but that's this is like our boy, he went through a lot of the things that I went through growing up, middle school, lower school, which is like before you get to 7th grade.
Yeah, elementary.
Yeah, he he was short like me, and I'm Hispanic. My wife's not. He's half Hispanic, so he gets ridiculed for being short, and like, hey, you little fucking Mexican. This is in a private Catholic school in Laguna Beach.
Wow.
Which I'm thinking, I'm completely blown away that racial prejudice still exists to that degree, and maybe because of where I grew up and where I've come from, I've kind of felt that I've overcome a lot of that, and with more success, there's a little bit more acceptance and education and things of that sort. I'll just tell you, watching what's happening today here about Israel and what's going on, it just shows me how much
Hatred is out there.
and prejudice is still there and bigotry is still there. But my son went through this and it really affected him. And we didn't know until later on when he started smoking weed, why he was smoking weed. And he would say, and we'd see this, and I'm like, I'm shocked. If I would have known this was going on, I would have beat the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I grew up. This is what someone's going to listen to. But
They
it was,
do. Those bullies do listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
that's all bullies listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
It's the
sure.
only thing they listen to.
So fortunately, he grew up to be taller, good-looking kid, had a career starting in high school in social media, becoming a model and a brand sponsor. And then he got all the kids at high school that were making fun of him, like, because they're jealous.
Yep.
You know what that's like.
Yeah.
If you're good looking or successful, nobody likes that. So, he left. I think he actually found kids that became his friends that were a lot like him. And it's, we found out later with Coop that he's exceptionally bright, really smart. So I think the world lives on a spectrum.
Yes. Yes.
And the world wants us to be where the majority of are in the middle.
Sure.
But when you're more gifted, athletically or
Totally.
or intellectually or artistically, you move towards the end of the spectrum.
You're an outlier.
Yeah, you're an outlier. The world in the middle doesn't like that, and they get jealous and they get bitchy and they get hurtful. But when you're younger, you internalize all that stuff, and you don't know that it doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think about yourself
Of course.
and what's in your heart.
That's tough.
But
though.
that's maturity.
Exactly.
that's hard,
like,
bro.
yeah.
So we normally get all of our kids, like I think we obviously, everybody in this room has gotten through that stage of your life to where you've survived the things that you've done and you're going through a life experience of maturity. And that's what we try to get our kids through. But today, what's happening with the self-medication,
Right.
they're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the message we're trying to tell. We have a couple messages. One message is we're trying to tell the kids and the parents and everybody out there is that we want you to understand what the landscape is like. You're in a minefield and you're going to die. If you take anything, you're going to die. If you have to be absolutely 1,000% that it comes directly from a U.S. governed pharmacy. If you are not sure, you today have a 70% chance you're going to die.
That's what we talk
And
about.
how do
man.
you know that 100% for sure unless you're actually the person that went and picked up the prescription bottle from
You
the
don't.
pharmacy?
You have to.
Because
don't.
I could put whatever pills I want into
Yeah.
a container with my name in it on
A
it.
lot of parents do that.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
And you're right. You don't know. We've had an instance right after my son passed away that there's a couple kids up in a very well-known college in California, in Northern California. You got to be smart. Got to be really smart to get there. Exceptional. Coop passed away on June 9th of 2022. That was the beginning of finals for colleges. And the week afterwards, we heard there's these two girls, best friends, came from here up in Northern Cal, going to school, studying for finals. One of them ran out of her Adderall, and she has a test the next day.
Oh, damn.
So she goes to her best friend, and she's like, hey, I've got one. Here, take one of mine. Your prescription comes in tomorrow. Well, and she didn't know that her best friend had got that from somebody else. The girl passes away from fentanyl.
Oh.
Damn.
Now, these aren't kids that party. These aren't kids that were trying to self-medicate.
Oh my
They're
God.
taking an Adderall for
Yeah.
test
Yeah.
enhancement. It's just fucking insane.
That's
is
the
heartbreaking.
message that I want out there
Yeah.
because like what society believes is that it's the addicts and the
Yeah.
alcoholics who are
Yeah.
not the alcoholics, but
The addicts.
but the
Yes.
the addicts,
abusers.
the abusers.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to tell y'all, the abusers, the addicts, the real addicts, they're not dying. They're not dying because they are, but they're not dying. They have a high tolerance to this stuff. Now, if we bring them into treatment and we get them clean and they go back out onto the streets, they're dead.
Yeah.
That happens more often that way now than before. And like, I mean, it's just, I just can't.
So
you know?
Coop talks about, he did a number of Instagram posts. He was open about talking about what his experience was. He wrote the opening about his story on the Discord platform. You see it under Coop's story on a channel that he wrote. And he talks about that he has been an addict since he was 9. And he says, I've been struggling with addiction since I was 9 years old, which that seems crazy to a lot of people. But what 9 years old was for Cooper when he was prescribed Adderall. for being, couldn't sit still in class. They wanted to keep him in the box. What we found out later on for him being so bright was that he was just bored, and he didn't have the stimulus enough to keep his attention going. So, I see you guys are going through that. And there's the general chat. If you go through, scroll down, there's got to be, let's see. I thought there's a venting channel, not the venting boys channel, but you could go through this.
I'll show them later what it is.
Yeah, there's a venting channel. I think if you scroll down, that's where kids are basically really focused on talking about their struggles.
But I mean, that's where I'm like, you and your family, it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. And clearly, Cooper was already ahead of what he wanted, his mission. Clearly is stated there, before his passing. And that's pretty incredible from a very young boy.
And there's a weird part about it, and what I, part of my survival mechanism is, I believe that God has a purpose for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether you're religious or not, or spiritual, whether you believe in God or, Buddha or energy or whatever. Again, I try to look at life very simply. We can't take you into a lab or a medical lab and open you up and find the source or the power source of your life. Like, here's the battery, in Chad's body. You're not going to find it. We are alive, I believe, spiritually, living here from something that we can't explain. And so I believe in God.
Yeah.
And so I believe that, that's where our life is coming from. And it's just incredible that we are here in this moment, living this way, and that we're dealing with these things and these forces that are here to help us in some way, but also things that are here to destroy us, and giving us so much options to do that. And even without even an option, where we don't even know, or somewhat victims of that. And when I see what's happening today with the landscape of, illicit drugs and fentanyl, I'm just completely mind blown that we're in this situation, and I feel that we're so helpless.
What do we do? I have a 14-year-old. He's awkward. He feels awkward. He tells me he's awkward. He says, Dad, I'm going to go, but I feel awkward, but I'm still going to go through it. How long is that confidence going to last? Like, how does anybody out there, what I'm trying to say? Like, it's tough.
It's really tough. If you're
I'll tell you what I've done.
If you're asking for me, like, what I would suggest to you, the more that you can openly talk and get an environment to talk with your kids and encourage them to also talk to other people, that it's okay. There's a saying that one of Cooper's friends started a separate foundation called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay." I mean, that's really what it's about. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, it's okay to feel awkward. I feel awkward all the time. I'm like 49 years old, and I have felt awkward my whole entire life. I tell my kids it's okay to just feel awkward.
Well, you were even saying the other day at that night out.
Like embrace your awkwardness, because that's what makes you authentic. And I get it though. I get it. Yes, I get it that it is hard when you are a teenager because you're in your most awkward stage of life. Yeah. And the people are really mean.
Look, it's hard and awkward today for us as adults.
Yeah, it is.
We were joking earlier about the dating app. but like, let's just say I'm on the dating app.
Yeah.
And I can't find somebody that, that's working for me. Like, what's wrong with me? How come nobody wants to be with me?
Half of marriages end in divorce. I mean, it's a nightmare.
I mean, you look at just what we go through as an adult.
Yeah.
I think we learn to have a little bit better coping skills.
No.
Yeah.
I guarantee we all go through shit where we look in the mirror or wake up and go, what the fuck?
Oh boy,
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
hear some of the mean things I say
Yeah.
to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a highly successful and
Individual.
Yeah.
individual, and have worked very, very hard on myself. But some days I wake up and I'm like, look at you.
Yeah, right.
Fat.
Where's the fucking toaster and bathtub?
Yeah.
Shit.
But you know, it's like you got to challenge that shit. If I'm gonna like teach people how to do what I do, when those times come up, I start to challenge that, and I'm like, it doesn't. First off, some of the things that I say to myself, they don't even fucking matter. Like,
Right.
like
Noise.
Probably not
Yeah,
even
it's
real.
noise. It's not
Noise.
real.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing. Is
It's
like,
just it's mind
yes.
clutter.
Yeah.
It's negative self-talk.
yeah,
And I think it's part of being human. It's
Yeah.
also our external environment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really look at it, if you can be cognizant of what you eat, smell, read, hear, associate yourself with, that's stuff that's going to affect you.
Of course.
You don't have to be an asshole and say, I don't like you. Fuck off. I'm not going to be around
No,
you.
totally.
You can just, maneuver your way and not stay too long with somebody, but choose. Well, the second message that we are trying to convey to kids, so we try to keep it very simple, is that, consider a choice that might be a positive and healthy choice versus a negative and unhealthy choice, and keep it very simple. And so then if they inquire, we try to unpack it from the standpoint of, like, for example, instead of self-medicating, maybe go for a walk,
Totally.
go to the gym,
Yes.
music, journal,
Yes. All
I mean,
things,
talk with somebody.
it's all of the things that we learn in working like a 12-step program. It's basically giving you the tools to figure out those emotions to walk through, because that's primarily the reason why, whether it's kids or at least myself, is like you just want to just be numb and not feel what you're feeling. Where going into a recovery program, I had to really do a lot of internal work, and that I do consistently every day with my prayers, my meditation. I write, I work out. And
You work out.
and those are the things
she
that
wrestles.
those are the things that you're exactly right, where they don't get. There's not
does.
enough emphasis on what physical activity does for it's scientifically proven.
Yes.
Yeah, your endorphins.
You're
Yes.
100% right.
adrenaline.
Those are the chemicals that you are searching for in a drug.
Yes.
And then
So
should
it's
we
like-
put McDonald's in our body too?
Right.
Or-
So it's like those are the seeking chemicals, like
Occasionally.
Yeah, I agree. I 110% agree with
I
that.
keep it in balance.
Yeah.
exactly, moderation is key.
Yeah.
But the dopamine, the serotonin, those are what essentially, I can only speak for myself, but I'm assuming what you're trying to get more of. Hence why the drugs, why the recreation, or you're trying to do a head change. You're trying to get out of like the rat race in your brain.
Yeah, but
Those,
here's
like,
the thing. Here's
Fuck,
the
go
thing.
do literally. I'm gonna tell you, like, because if you aren't doing the stairs, right?
Yeah.
Like the tread stairs.
Yeah, you got to start.
If go do 30 minutes on the tread stairs and do it at a pace that by the time you're done, you're exhausted.
Exactly.
And when you're done and you're exhausted, there's no more all those crappy, negative, bullshit, depressing thoughts.
They're gone.
They're gone.
And have you hurt yourself?
No.
No.
No,
Maybe
no.
maybe you pulled.
But here's the
calf or
thing, though,
something.
guys.
Maybe I popped a cat. I have
Yeah,
done that.
Who's taking care of the young people? We got 50% fucking divorce rate. We have 2 parents working in your home, and you have a 15-year-old and
It's
a
our
13-year-old or
responsibility. We got
14-year-old.
podcasts now.
Yes,
we gotta
you can't
we
get
gotta
to the
start-
gym. Who
we
doesn't know
we
how to
gotta
get to
start
the
putting-
gym?
You
know
can
what
walk
I'm saying?
outside. You can walk
It's
outside.
tough, though. We have to be there as parents. We got to do a better job. We got to be as
Well,
adults.
society, because
society.
there's not going to always be 2 parents at home,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not going to always be a dad. So
And look what else we have. We got rising costs of everything.
Yeah.
That's making things more challenging. Gas, food,
Yes.
all that.
Everything.
But you asked earlier, Shane, like, what do you do, like, with your 14-year-old?
Yeah.
You do what we're doing here. We talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about it in a real way.
Yeah.
Understanding that we all have shit.
Totally.
We all struggle.
Mm-hmm.
We will continue to struggle, but we have choices to make.
Mm-hmm.
You're sober because of the choices you've made. There's a time where you could not be sober because it had a grip on you, and you
grip.
could do all you could do, but you needed help.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you choose, whatever, if it's daily or
And
multiple
it is.
times.
It's a daily
It's
choice.
a daily choice.
Yeah.
And
that I actively
I mean,
have
we
to
both
pursue.
we both believe that, like, we have a daily reprieve
Mm-hmm.
based on our spiritual maintenance, you know. And
Yeah.
that's why I have these non-negotiables, and I want these kids to start having these non-negotiables in their life, man. And I don't care what you believe in. I like what you say, and I choose to believe in God. But
Yeah, me
like
too.
whatever it is you believe in, spend some wake up when you first wake up in the morning, before you grab your phone. Spend some time with that, whatever it is, that entity,
Yeah.
that power that is
Yeah.
greater than you,
Mm-hmm.
that you believe in, that you can
talk
do
to.
business.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
If
And
you-
then
if
spend
you
a little bit of
choose-
time listening.
If you choose in that time in the morning
Mm-hmm.
to change your habits about
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing, praying, meditating, thinking, if you integrate things like this morning, every morning I want to wake up and I want to be thankful and grateful for the things in my life this moment,
yeah.
because it changes.
It does.
You start putting positive things in your mind,
Yeah.
just like
Love that.
better food,
Yes.
just like working out, just like whatever the positive passion may be. Look, life is going to throw negative fucking shit with you no matter what.
No matter what.
So you don't
Walk
need to-
out, heart attack, car crashes, goes through the red light, kills you. You don't need to add more to your life.
Yeah, you don't need it.
So
like
we
that-
talk to
the-
kids about, look, you're okay, and it's okay not to be okay. But the more you talk about it, and the more you
dialogue.
look, to see about a healthier, positive choice, I'm just saying, trust me, it gets better. You're going to grow through this. You're going to learn, and you're going to build on all of these, and then, eventually, maybe you'll help somebody else.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the problem too is that it's really difficult to do those things because it requires a lot of discipline and work, where it's very easy to sit in your negativity and just scroll on Instagram and go down a negative rabbit hole. So I think that's also a huge factor in it as well, where it's like it requires discipline to not go towards the negative things, because I could do it myself. I could be feeling terrible or something happens, and then I can go down a negative social media rabbit hole if I want to and just make myself feel terrible, or I can make the choice not to do that because I know that it is very much easy to do. So it is a conscious kind of decision and choice that each individual has to be cognizant and make.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you're lucky and fortunate because you have an incredible spouse and partner that kind of pushes you through that mess when you get into it.
And I'm thankful that I didn't have social media like
Exactly.
these kids do.
Yeah.
Right? If I had social media in high school,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be here.
And that's what's so
What-
cool about
what's
making
the-
yourself available to everyone out there. Sorry to interrupt. That people need you. People need someone to call.
They
someone
need to
turn-
hear your story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
Sorry,
people that are following the same path
Yeah.
as all of us.
for sure.
Yeah,
know?
it's not really. It's different, but it's not different. It's like, what are you feeding your mind with? Because I can tell you right now that if you grab my phone and you go onto my Instagram and you start scrolling through my reels, you're gonna only get like positive little clips of like motivational speakers speaking positivity and goodness and
Yeah.
so what's in your feed, because that's actually an
True.
algorithm, right?
Right.
Yeah,
like
you see
like
more of
like
what you're
Shane, when you go on to Shane's,
Bathing
he sees like
suits.
kitties.
I see
What did
that.
you
I
say?
Bathing suits.
Bathing suits, probably bathing suits. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's so
Like,
true,
what's
though.
yours?
My
What is
top-
your
My
feed?
top 3 feed is like motivational things,
Yeah.
like things. Dogs. I love dogs. So,
Really?
Frenchies and goats.
Yeah, you
They're
haven't
my-
seen the
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
she's like
hilarious.
obsessed with goats, and she
Goats.
And like these little
that's
Frenchies, like
random.
their
That's
little
cool.
outfits,
Yeah.
and then makeup.
Wow.
no makeup on my any makeup on you.
No makeup
No,
on
no
mine.
makeup
No
for
goats
me.
either.
I've never had a makeup fail.
Okay, so she likes the miniature goats though, the little ones that jump around
I
crazy.
mean,
Yeah.
there's little goats.
Yeah, oh
tiny,
my goodness.
Baby goats.
Yes, you're gonna have to follow me. It'll make you smile.
And then you'll realize that that's actually her in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is one of those little goats
Like a little
that
baby
jumps,
goat?
a
Yeah, just
jumps
like
around.
You should be like
Crazy.
change your deal to baby goat.
I know. I'm a tornado. My husband steers the tornado.
Oh, it's
God bless them.
So,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question? Can you or are you willing to tell us a little bit about Cooper and
Sure.
about his life, how he was, how he got to where he was?
Yeah. So,
By the way, really quick, my son's name is Cooper.
oh, really?
Yeah,
How old is your son?
17.
Wow. Good for you. Did your son know of my son at all?
Probably.
Yeah,
yeah.
you should ask him.
I didn't. I didn't ask my kids yet.
Okay. Well, I was alluding to it a little earlier that when Cooper was in elementary school, he went through this whole, this growing up phase and struggled with it. And he got introduced to weed when he was in seventh, eighth grade.
Yeah.
And, the kids that were smoking weed, he was more accepted by them than the kids that were athletes. And even though he was an exceptional athlete, I grew up as an athlete, and I'm the kind of person that I've had a fair amount of success with it, but I'm a product of a lot of hard work. Like I got to do reps 1,000 times
Yeah.
to get something down. Coop could walk up, like hit a golf ball and just hit it pure. He could do anything. He's just gifted. I wish I had that. And he was very successful with it, but it was like, and he got a lot of accolades for it, but it never really just clicked with him. That's not where he got, that, I call it the hole. And this is what I was trying to discuss earlier when we were talking about God. I think all of us have this black hole in our being, and we try to fill it. There's something that's missing with that. I believe it's the relationship with God.
Yeah.
That once we turn ourselves to God,
Yeah.
we fill this, get full with positive things, and
Totally.
we feel not like completeness, but we feel a fulfillment. And short of that, I think we try to stuff that black hole with whatever it might be that we're struggling with.